historic lodge in the Grand Canyon. And weekend rain delayed crews searching for victims of the deadly Texas flood.
It has been an active day across Texas.
We'll return to the scene 2 months after floods devastated a western Maryland community.
Came in fast and hard, and he barely got out of the house.
Hurricane Helene's impact is still being felt across large portions of North Carolina.
The river only met safety standards 14% of the time.
Michigan is preparing for its annual blueberry harvest. And what happens when an iceberg gets too close for comfort?
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Well, good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Eileen Whalen. Well, crews in Texas are expected to resume search efforts this morning after work stopped on Sunday because more rain caused rivers to rise. At least 129 people are now confirmed dead in the July 4th flood, with at least 160 still missing. Officials stress those numbers can and will change. Unfortunately, flood watches and warnings are posted for the entire hill country today, with up to 5 inches of rain possible in some areas. Ivan Rodriguez is on the ground with the latest this morning.
Heavy rain Sunday pummeling parts of central Texas, already reeling from last week's catastrophic flooding. Officials concerned about the Guadalupe River swelling once again. People near Hunt received emergency alerts Sunday, warning them of a high probability of the Guadalupe River reaching flood stage and urging people to get away from the river immediately. Ground search operations were temporarily halted with more storms on the way. Crews have been scouring the flood-ravaged areas for more than a week now. More than 100 people have been killed and scores are still missing. The mayor of Kerrville released a video statement Saturday about the help his town has received from state and federal officials.
They showed up in force, and they've been here every day since, working 24/7.
His comments come amid backlash over the Federal Emergency Management Agency's response. While search and rescue crews from around the country immediately rushed to help, FEMA did not arrive until Monday evening, days after any victims had been found alive. There's also many questions about the state's flood preparedness and a lack of immediate alerts notifying residents about the floods. Some Texas leaders are demanding answers.
We can't just allow girls to drown in the middle of the night. We have to make sure we protect everyone.
At the local level, Texas state leaders say they will focus on pushing legislation that deals with flooding and resources, including an alert system, during their upcoming special session.
Well, the weekend rain didn't just impact the search for victims, it also triggered new flooding. Andrew Freeman reports from the banks of the Llano River.
It's not normal.
Pretty insane.
Kylie and Memphis Schumann often bike across the Llano Bridge.
Down there you see the street lights down in the middle of the water.
In Kingsland, the same rushing water buried low water crossings. Slab Road became impossible to cross.
And there's a marker about halfway across that's 5 foot for the river level, and that's gone.
Neighbors say they're reminded of the last time water was this high in 2018.
Oh my God, Excelsior, the bridge collapsed.
We went and checked the major bridge over there. It was actually the bridge that was taken out before in 2018. So it makes us pretty nervous.
We also went and checked on the bridge, which was rebuilt in 2019. It stood tall and dry above the river following Sunday's rain.
What makes me nervous is people taking risks to try to get real close to it, because you cannot tell when it's going to rise up and how fast it's going to rise.
The power of water and you know, it's just amazing, and how strong water can be, but it can also cause a lot of damage and take people's lives.
Well, along the Colorado River in Marble Falls, Texas, a family found itself on opposite sides of a river that usually isn't there. Vinny Morturano has more.
Flash flooding blocked many low water crossings and other county roads in North Burnett County. Water from normally small, tame creeks turned into full rivers, which wiped over roads. Jeff White and his family were separated by rising floodwaters. All they could do was stare at each other from across the newly made road river on RM 2340. White, his wife, and his 2 sons were on one side, his daughter and son-in-law on the other.
Yeah, he's trying to go to college. He's stuck in. His plan's going to be sit at home. My plan's going to drive around until I can get home.
This feeling isn't new for White and his family. Last week, he was trapped in his home between two low water crossings with no way of getting through.
It's crazy. It's dangerous. You look at it and you can tell you're going to get smoked out. You're going to lose control.
Well, heavy rain flooded portions of New York yesterday evening. This was the scene in Newark Valley, just north of Binghamton in the southern tier. Now, many roads were flooded and washed out. Several emergency shelters opened for people who were displaced by the flooding. And unfortunately, the threat isn't over. Flood watches are posted from western Massachusetts to Virginia through tonight and in some cases through tomorrow morning. Rainfall rates could be up to 2 inches per hour. And parts of Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona are under evacuation orders as 2 nearby wildfires burn uncontained. The park superintendent says one of the fires destroyed the historic Grand Canyon Lodge, the only lodging at the park's northern rim. A visitor center, gas station, and some employee housing were also lost. And this comes as a second wildfire burns in southern portions of the park. Firefighting efforts have been hampered by dry and windy conditions. Together, the fires have spread across more than 45,000 acres and up to 80 structures. The canyon's north rim is now closed for the season. Well, tracking the tropics this morning, and we are monitoring a system that could develop off the Florida coast. Now, while its chances of becoming a hurricane are less than 50%, it could have a big impact on the Sunshine State. West Palm Beach meteorologist Lauren Oleski is tracking the storm.
We are monitoring an area of low pressure that's to our east. This is what's bringing us heavy rain over the next couple of days. It's going to be moving west across the state, and then it has the possibility to develop into something in the Gulf later this week. I'm not concerned with this becoming some kind of major tropical system and impacting us, but look at all this deep red. This is going to be moving over the state as we go through the next few days. This is now a look at Wednesday. So in the morning, you'll see all that deep red, again, going across the state, moving into the Gulf, and that's when we can see this develop into something.
Well, it has been 2 months since flash floods devastated parts of western Maryland. Brad Bell was there immediately after the floods and returned to find out how recovery efforts are going.
The May 13th western Maryland flood was devastating for towns like Westernport. A stationary storm dumped nearly a foot of rain, and in a flash, Georges Creek was over its banks. Just watch this video of the water rising on Main Street here, crashing into the Westernport Library. Not far away, children were stranded in their school, one father carrying his daughter to safety on his shoulders. And we saw the mess left behind, with mud everywhere. Now, 2 months later, Mayor Judy Hamilton says the town is beginning to heal.
We're going to recover fully, and we'll be back to where we were. We're all working hard to make sure that happens.
Georges Creek is well below its banks where it belongs, and along Main Street, the town has worked hard to restore.
But just off of Main Street, a very different story. You're looking at a dumpster. People here are still emptying their belongings out of their flood-ravaged homes. People here still very much hurting.
I meet 86-year-old David Stiding. He leads me into his home of 60 years. The water here was 5 feet deep.
Had to take all this drywall off because it was mold in behind the drywall. I got to replace that door. The bad thing about it, my wife died a month before. Now I had to do this.
It was worse than '96 flood.
That's David Stiding Jr. He's doing what he can to help his dad. Still grateful he even survived the deluge.
It came in fast and hard, and he barely got out of the house. He didn't get his insulin or nothing.
People here say they now watch the news from Texas with empathy. They know what it's like to face a wall of water, and it's something they don't want to experience ever again.
Well, check out this photo. It shows a massive iceberg that's drifted dangerously close to a small village in northwestern Greenland. Local authorities are warning residents not to walk in a group to the grocery store in that area. Now, the biggest concern is that the iceberg will split with pieces falling into the ocean, creating large waves. Now, there aren't many good options for people dealing with that iceberg except to evacuate the area. And coming up here on the National Weather Desk, we'll show you the impact still being felt from Hurricane Helene.
I'm meteorologist Ryan Munn. Let's get a look at the Northeast. We head through the day on Monday. A cold front is going to swing through the area. That typically means, of course, this time of the year, the chance for showers and storms throughout much of the Northeast. And we may even see a severe thunderstorm or two in some spots, especially in parts of southern New England and the mid-Atlantic. That moves on out of here. And then the heat moves back in as we head into the day on Tuesday. We are talking 80s and 90s for many areas. High temperatures for today will run in the 70s and 80s.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We are going to be tracking good rain chances going forward on your Monday afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms likely. Could even see some flooding across the region as that stalled frontal boundary lingers around. And we will continue the rain chances going into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Really is going to happen every single day with the best chance in the afternoon and evening. Temperatures a little bit cooler with all the clouds and rain around. 80s to even 70s. And we'll continue to see the cooler temperatures around, again, mid-80s for highs on Tuesday.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Collins with a look at your southeast forecast. We're watching as an area of low pressure is expected to move across the state of Florida. This will bring scattered showers and thunderstorms through the start of the week with the potential for heavy rainfall at times. Afternoon showers and storms possible for the rest of the southeast, still staying hot and humid though. Temperatures running in the upper 80s across most of Florida, the mid-90s for parts of Georgia and the Carolinas, and extending all the way into the Mississippi River Valley, sitting in the low to mid-90s.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, after major flooding in Texas, people in coastal communities wonder about flooding in their area. Gina Forbes spoke to a marine expert in coastal Carolina to find out how they are preparing for the worst.
Ultimately, sea level is rising. So as it rises, there's less of a drive of that water to the coast at some point. And so there's not as much of a fast exit because it's not sloped.
To wetlands and marine expert Dr. Paul Gaze, it's a question of how much water is being brought in and how fast it can dump back out.
Here, there's a lot more distribution. So a lot of the floodplain in the Waccamaw may be miles wide in some areas. So when all that water comes in, it starts to exceed the river channel itself. It goes over the bank. That's called the floodplain. So that volume and the rate at which water goes through it is controlling the rate out.
Places like Garden City, Pawleys Island, and Cherry Grove have been having a hard time getting this water out due to the pressure from the ocean and the marsh at the same time.
So these barrier islands are getting squeezed on the front side by sea level rise and say surges during storms, and the back side by sea level rise, and also this water being moved into the coast. And you're seeing regular flooding.
It's called coastal squeeze, and it's been happening for years. It's actually one of the reasons cities do beach renourishment, to keep the ocean pushed back from the shore. But how long can we hold off?
Where we're sitting pretty high, there's more time, but where we're sitting pretty low, we're having to face some decisions. Can we afford and manage to defend those locations, or are we going to be able to sustain them?
And as we can push off coastal squeeze with beach renourishment, we can't push off the rain, nor should we. It becomes a question of how
to live with water rather than fight it.
Well, in western North Carolina, Hurricane Helene did lasting damage, and the impact is still showing up in the water nearly 10 months later. Elijah Skipper has details.
The French Broad, it's the center of life, for everything.
For biologist Luke Etchinson, this river isn't just research, it's personal. Etchinson has spent years monitoring the river's rare aquatic species, many found nowhere else in the world. But Hurricane Helene's floodwaters tore through fragile ecosystems, eroding stream banks and leaving scars that months later still haven't healed.
There's a lot of concerns, right away. You just wonder all the things we've been working on, if they were reset or even set back even further than that. There's plenty of places that we're like just scratching our heads, like, I don't know how we're gonna, get the habitat back to where it needs to be.
And that damage shows up in the data too. According to swimguide.org, which tracks weekly testing by NCDQ and Mountain True, Bent Creek River Park passed E. coli safety standards just 40% of the time between May and July. In the River Arts District, that number dropped to 21%. And at Pearson Bridge, a popular spot for paddlers, the river only met safety standards 14% of the time. In late June, E. coli levels there spiked to more than 3 times the safe limit for recreational use. High levels can make people sick if they swim or fall in.
There's probably a lot of leaky septics out there after all these homes were lost in western North Carolina.
That's where groups like Asheville-based nonprofit RiverLink step in.
Helene's floodwaters scoured vegetation off of the riverbanks, leaving them, bare soil, eroding, unstable. And so we were fortunate to get grant funding from multiple sources.
That funding has helped power RiverLink's Adopt a Stream program. Since February, the team has restored more than 2 miles of damaged stream bank.
Our team has been going out and actually doing the hands-on reshaping of the stream banks, putting down seed and native woody plants and biodegradable erosion control matting.
Well, in Michigan, the early summer crops are in full bloom. That includes cherries, strawberries, and blueberries. Meteorologist Trevor Robideau has a preview of the blueberry crop. It's expected to be ready soon.
Farmers downstate started harvesting blueberries right after the 4th of July. Chad Reinders, president of the Michigan Blueberry Advisory Committee, says that this year overall has been good.
The spring was actually fairly nice, you could say. We had some cooler weathers. We weren't rushed into springtime and then having to deal with frost and pollination. Pollination was over 4 weeks long. It was a very long pollination season.
Crops around the state, including blueberries, are running a little behind due to the cooler weather in the spring. Local blueberry farm Bulldog Berries has some early varieties with blueberries and some red raspberries a week or so behind.
Every season it seems, with a little bit of give or take on the day we actually start. I bet compared to last year with the blueberries, we're going to be 3 to 5 days behind. So it really doesn't make that much of an impact at the end of the day.
Rain has been rather inconsistent for some farmers, with some noting they don't have nearly enough and others saying that a little less would be nice.
When we're dealing with this drought situation in Michigan, kind of where our farms are down in the Grand Rapids, west of Grand Rapids area, we haven't really got a lot of rainfall in the last 4 to 6 weeks.
We, I think, have irrigated maybe a little less than previous seasons. There has been a good amount of rain. Once the fruit is on the bush, I kind of prefer it to rain a little less and just irrigate it myself. Though the free water is nice, the rain can bring problems like insects and funguses.
The intense heat a few weeks ago caused some concerns, but fortunately the heat was short-lived. Reinders noted that warmer temps stress the berries if exposed for too long.
A few years ago we had an issue with it pushing 100 where we actually had to run water during the heat of the day just to cool the fruit down, or it turns into a raisin pretty much. It pretty much shrivels up and goes away.
Well, we are knee-deep in summer with plenty of hot weather ahead of us. So here's meteorologist Vetus Reed with some summer safety reminders.
I'm meteorologist Vetus Reed. These are some of the things that you want to remember with hot temperatures out there. You want to remember these heat safety tips, especially as we've been seeing very toasty temperatures across the country. Remember to wear loose and light clothes, so that helps reflect some of the sunlight. When you're wearing the lighter clothes, you wear dark clothes, it's absorbing that sunlight and it's holding it closer to your body longer times. You're looking at wearing a hat, and also use sunscreen to help protect your skin if you're out in the sun, but then also drink plenty of water, plenty of fluids to stay hydrated so you don't suffer from any type of dehydration if you're out in the sun. Also remember to take frequent AC breaks. That means go inside where it's nice and cool to kind of cool down your body temperature, and these are very important things to remember as we get through the summer hot season.
And one factor that can make it or can make the heat seem even more worse is humidity. Meteorologist Natalie Walters explains.
Have you ever wondered why the humidity makes it feel even hotter? So it's kind of funny because it has to deal with your sweat. So evaporation is a cooling process, and when your body sweats and it evaporates off your body, it helps cool us off. So when it's really muggy outside, there's a higher moisture content to the air. It's harder for that sweat to evaporate off your body, ultimately making it feel even hotter. So that's why it's important to take lots of breaks. If you are sweating, make sure you're drinking lots of water, fan yourself off, soak up the AC as much as possible as the heat and humidity continues across a good portion of the U.S.
Well, time now for a short break, but first we soar over a flower farm in Washington State.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Sarah Converse. The Ohio River Valley dealing with some wet conditions for the start of the week, especially in the morning hours as a disturbance works its way through central Ohio. Temperatures for the west of the Mississippi River in the 90s, with even South Dakota dealing with some triple digits. So it will be a hot one out west. And then for tonight, warm and muggy.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. We've got a big area of high pressure. It's going to continue to strengthen and build. That's going to trigger some extreme heat through portions of Northern California and Southern Oregon. Fire danger will also start to ramp up through portions of the Central Cascades on the eastern slopes. Daytime highs tomorrow, a piping 113 degrees over towards Las Vegas, 109 in Phoenix, 70s from LA through San Diego, and 90s in Missoula and Spokane. That's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, when temperatures soar, we need to remember pet safety. Here's meteorologist Lindsay Storrs with a reminder about protecting our pets' paws when outdoors in the heat.
Each summer, I'm always encouraging people to not walk their dogs during the hottest time of the day. Let me explain why this is so important. Let's say the air temperature is 95 degrees. At that temperature, the concrete can reach a temperature of 125 degrees and asphalt can reach 140 degrees. Keep in mind that your dog's paws can burn in just 5 minutes when they're touching a surface that's 120 degrees, and it only takes 1 minute to burn paws when the surface temperature is 140. If you have to walk your dog during the hottest time of the day, walk them on grass where the surface temperature is much cooler. A good rule of thumb is to place the palm of your hand on the concrete and the asphalt. If you can leave it there for 10 seconds without it becoming uncomfortable, it should be okay for your dog. But if it becomes uncomfortable for your hand, it's too hot for your dog's paws.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Eileen Whalen. Make it a great day, and I will see you back here tomorrow.